All right, so continuing along with this, what I'd like to do is show you some examples of some possible ways you could demonstrate what you know about loops. So if we look at the rubric here with respect to loops, we're looking for a couple different methods of controlling a loop. So looping over a numerical range, over elements of a list, or while a condition is true, and also being able to explain the output of a loop nested inside of another loop. So I have my list of robots here, test data, all those robots. So let's say that I want to do something for each robot in my test data. So this is iterating over elements of a loop. And I also could potentially just use a switch case structure to as a control statement to print out different things depending on the properties of those robots. So I'm going to paste that in here. So I'm going to do a switch robot statement. I'm going to switch based on the type of robot. I have three kinds of robots in my list. I have flying robots, walking robots, and driving robots. And so based on this, for each robot in the test data, I'm going to either print that the robot is a walking robot, the robot is a flying robot, or that it drives or rolls along the ground. And to close our statement, so that fixes that problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to step slowly through my code so that we can understand what it's doing. So for robot in test data, it's going to start with the first robot in my list. It is a flying robot, so it's going to print out that my robot, Robinator 5000, is a flying robot, and then it's going to go to the next one. If we go to my robot list, we can see the second one in the list is Big Dog. It is a walking robot, so it's going to print this statement out about Big Dog, and so on. So this is going to go all the way through my list for each robot in my list and print out the appropriate statement. And so this is an example of using a for loop, iterating over elements of a list in order to print information out. Depending on those properties. So the next thing is about a nested loop. And so let's just throw together a nested loop. So I'll actually do the same thing for robot in test data. But this time for each robot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another kind of for loop, this time iterating over a range. So I'm going to say I in 1, 2, 3. I'm going to print the robot dot name. And again, as a way to kind of explain what's happening here, looking at this, I need to be able to explain the output of a loop nested inside another loop. I'm going to run my code. I'm going to do this slowly. And so for the robot in test data, the first one is the Robinator 5000. So it's going to print Robinator 5000. Look at that. 1 time, 2 times, and 2 times, and then 3 times. So it's done that. And then it's going to go to the next robot in the list, and one more time, print out the new robot name, which is now Big Dog. And it's going to print it out 1, 2, and then 3 times. The one thing that would make it easier, perhaps, to understand that it is iterating here, stop that loop, is printing out using some string interpolation, the I value. So I'll just print out the I. And so now as we start this going through, let's close that print statement. So now as we go through this, it actually will print the I value for each robot. Okay, so it prints that out, and there's Robinator 5001. Goes back through, Robinator 5002, and Robinator 5003, because for each robot it's doing this 3 times. And that is my nested loop. And so I've explained a little bit about what the output is, and so this shows that I know what's happening with nested loops. And so I've met some requirements because I've also used not just elements of a list, but I've also looped over a numerical range in the second example. And so that's how I've met this, and I have also met this requirement. And that's it.